everyone. A little bit later than I actually wanted to come on. Sorry about that. I was just checking in on something quickly. As noted before, we will not be having a 1 p.m. live stream tomorrow. Instead, I will be at the Masonic Temple for a meeting. However, I will still do a 1 a.m. stream tonight. I hope to see you all there. And we'll be back on Thursday. So please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And we're going to chat about Freemasonry. So any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry, please let me know. We had a great stream. I guess technically it's this morning at 1 a.m. Really well attended. So let's see who joins me today. We're on to talk again. It is National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I told it yesterday, but today I want to talk about some important or famous, or pick your term, Masonic First Nations members. Joseph Brandt, Tecumseh, there's a few others. You know, I got the gray collared shirt. This is the best I can do, right? It's not going to stay this way forever, Mr. Keeps. So don't be assuming that just because you're getting the nice shirts today, it's going to be continuous. In the States, they're also, I know, looking at probably a government shutdown. I think in like 12 hours. For me, it's concerning, not so much on a Masonic perspective, but I have to cross the border. I'm supposed to cross the border on October 11th. I don't know if a border shutdown includes, or sorry, if government shutdown includes a border shutdown or just less people working at the border. If so, will I be able to cross? Obviously, my concerns should not be nearly as important as the people who might be out of work or the effect on the economy. But nonetheless, crossing the border is something I do frequently, and I'd like to keep crossing the border. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's midnight tonight, or 11:59 p.m. tonight is the deadline. Masonic lodges, certainly Masonic lodges in Washington, D.C. and other places where they have a heavy government worker population might find themselves affected, either positively in the weird way, in the sense that brethren who are normally government employees may have more time for lodge, but negatively, obviously, in the fact that they're going to have economic impacts. Their members may be looking for different work, may need benevolence. We'll see what happens. But you cannot separate, I know I say it all the time, you cannot separate what happens within an economy and a government from what happens within the Masonic lodges located within that economy. Having said all of that, as always, the first hour, we're just going to wait and we're going to see who joins. So please take a moment, jump in the chat, say hello, and Mr. Keeps, how is your day going? I also wrote an article in Medium about National Day of Truth and Reconciliation and how Freemasons can respond to the calls to action. I don't disagree, but I feel like we're coming down much closer to the wire than usual. I mean, it's what? I feel like with 10 hours to go or something like that. There's actually a thing on CNN. I'm curious now. I think they have an actual counter on it. Let's see. Chilling is good. Slow days at work are nice. Well, if it's a slow day, nothing's wrong playing foosball. I have no idea. Oh, here it is. The shutdown will begin in 10 hours, 46 minutes, 12 seconds. 10 seconds. 9 seconds. So 10 hours and basically 46 minutes. Yeah, I thought that was a joke that was coming. Or something to that effect. By the way, I posted some quiz questions on my YouTube channel. I hope you'll check them out. CT, I'm a Freemason. Been a Freemason since 2007. Currently a member of 5 lodges. Hopefully, I can be a member of actually a 6th lodge pretty soon. That's my goal. Well, not my goal, but they're potentially going to offer me an honorary membership, which would be, in fact, an honor. We'll see if that happens or not. But CT, I am a Freemason. Tell us some secrets. The only secret in Freemasonry is it's about making the world a better place. Welcome back, Captain Blackbird. It is a Freemason guy. Degree. Well, as you may know, CT, if you're a Freemason, is the one degree that matters is the 3rd degree. I'm a Master Mason. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite, but that's not as relevant as being a Master Mason. That's what matters, and I'm a Master Mason as well as a current Worshipful Master. Nobody promised me riches. By the way, if anybody does promise you riches to join Freemasonry, they are almost 1,000,000% scammers. Don't believe it. First, you should never join anything with the purpose of getting rich. You should join things with the purpose of contributing to others. However, if somebody's promising you riches, it's a scam, or influence, or power, or whatever it is. Is it worth it? That's a question every Freemason has to decide for themselves. I think it is. There are days when I don't think it is, and there are days when I struggle with being a Freemason, right? There are days when I find it incredibly challenging, and I don't want to go to lodge, I don't want to be part of it. But that's no different than people who are dedicating their lives to something. There are musicians who, any given day don't want to practice, don't want to perform. When you dedicate your life to something, there's challenges that come with it. I will say, though, I think overall it has been worth it, even the challenges therein. I'm just going to call you White. Can Freemasons rule the higher-ups? I don't know what you mean by that. No. Freemasons do not rule anybody, except hopefully their own passions and their own kind of desires and moderation. But Freemasonry is not political, nor does it, rule over anyone. I'm well, name I can't pronounce. Good to see you. SMD. What is the purpose of Freemasonry? Every Freemason has to answer that question for himself as well. To me, the purpose of Freemasonry is to endeavor to make the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. In a more anthropological sense, the purpose of Freemasonry is the same as the purpose of any other fraternal or civic organization. It's to fulfill and satiate the human desire for brotherhood and connection. It's the same purpose that drives kids to create tree forts and create clubs and invite people to be part of that club. It's human nature to want to do that, and Freemasonry provides an outlet for that, again, in a organized and structured way. To get paid well, Captain Blackbird? No, that would not be a valid purpose to join Freemasonry. I don't think that's a valid purpose to join almost any organization. Even getting a job, I don't think your purpose should be necessarily to make money. I think your purpose should be to contribute to the workplace, and based upon that, receive your compensation. So Freemasonry, name I can't pronounce, did not come from the Knights Templar. Precisely, that's a lot of kind of myths and stories about that. But the Knights Templar existed from approximately 1115 to 1308. Give or take. I think, Freemasonry at the earliest existed in 1634. So there's about a 300 and something gap between the two. Now, certainly in later years, Freemasons, evolved or borrowed from Knights Templar mythology and mythos in the creation of the York degrees. In various ways, even in other, like De Molay, for example, right, the youth groups. But that's not the same as a direct line of succession between the two. At least that's my opinion. Why is status in life important, Captain Blackbird? Yeah, Mr. Keeps, there's no way I can translate that right now. The old Masonic cipher. Well, so the Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati, formed in 1777, if I recall correctly, through Adam Weishaupt, who was a Freemason, who decided he did not like Freemasonry for a variety of reasons. Part of it was the expense, part of it was it wasn't esoteric enough, and he ended up creating his own group as a counter to it. So, didn't really last very long. Well, so CT, the Freemasons are definitely not doing that. I think you may have fallen for some internet nonsense. But the Freemasons, I mean, there's no such thing even as a Masonic wedding at all. Weddings, like people can rent out Masonic buildings to hold their weddings in, that happens. But, um, Freemasons follow the rules of the country. And the laws of the country in which they exist. And so I don't believe any country would allow such marriages, aside from the fact that if anything like that were to happen, then the Freemasons would be calling the police and sending their brothers to the jail. Illuminati and the U.S. government established the same day. Uh, let me double check that. I knew the Illuminati was 1777. 1776. May 1st, 1776. And I thought that America was founded July 1st, 1776. What are your thoughts on Albert Pike? Morals and Dogma. He had some valuable insights, however, is far too popular, especially amongst non-Masons. He's not nearly as important as people think he is. And certainly a lot of non-Masons rely upon him for their understanding of what Freemasonry is, and that's a mistake, right? He was writing specifically for Scottish Rite Southern jurisdiction, which is a subset of Freemasonry. It certainly applies to or independent body. It certainly applies to Freemasonry or to Scottish Rite in Canada, not so much Northern jurisdiction. But for the average Mason, he certainly is very unimportant to their day-to-day Masonic career. Welcome back, Lon. Well, so Albert Pike was kind of famously a spiritualist or kind of a mystical fellow. For him, and this is something I agree with or disagree with, Lucifer and Satan are actually different people, or different, I guess, characters or metaphors. Lucifer actually represents a light bringer, like Prometheus. He wasn't a Satanist, though. Satanism would be a different thing, right? Like the Church of Satanism, to my knowledge, would not recognize Albert Pike's work. I could be wrong. I've never been to a Church of Satanist meeting. But Luciferianism is more about the idea of the serpent as being kind of a Prometheus-like figure, whereas Satan was a fallen angel. I appreciate that name I can't pronounce. It's nice to have you here as well. Hello, Dad. How's it going? Thank you for joining, as always. How's it going? Dad is Harry, by the way. He's my pops from Winnipeg. No. I mean, I don't know of any Masons who practice. I'm not even going to say that because I feel like it's going to get myself banned on YouTube or something. I mean, maybe some do. I've never once asked a Mason if they practice that, nor have any Masons ever asked me if I practice that. So, I have no clue what you're talking about. But Siberia, I think that you have been falling for some internet conspiracy theories. You're from Bangladesh. Okay, what does it say? Because, like I said, for now, all I can call you is name I can't pronounce because I can't read that. But if you tell me what it says in English, your username, I'll try to remember it. Um, but yes, people are strange, including Siberia PC. That's a hard thing to describe. You kind of have to go through it yourself. Um, and again, it's such a like Freemasonry really is a personal experience. So what it feels like, Mohammed, okay, Mohammed, welcome. What it feels like to be initiated, at least on an emotional level, is different for every Mason. For me, um, it felt incredibly special, not in like a spiritual way, more in the idea of I feel like I'm joining something that can potentially make a difference, um, and make the world a better place. Beyond that, you kind of everybody has to decide how it's like for them. Hey, putting the world right is really really hard, so keep on doing it. I wish you the best of luck. Interesting. Are you considering a U.S. shutdown? Yes, 38%. No, 62%. The no's are in the lead, but not by a ton. No, for better or worse, and honestly, I'm one of the exceptions. I consider this to be for the worse. Freemasonry will always put, or Freemasonry teaches that you have to put your work and family first, or your family and your work first, and then Freemasonry. So if there's a conflict between your familial commitments and your Masonic commitments, then you are expected to put your family commitments first, which is good in theory. My concern is a lot of Masons seem to define their family commitments very, very broadly, at the expense of their Masonic commitments. But um, that's a whole other can of tuna. I've never heard of Omerta. There are, again, I've talked about this before. There are within Freemasonry private ceremonies or private rituals. I choose not to talk about them because to talk about them outside of the lodge would, I think, what's the word I want to use? Um, I can't think of the right word now. Lessen the bond of brotherhood between us. In the same way, sharing a family recipe with people outside the family affects the connection between the family. Masonry. Cavemen love smoke. Please hit like and subscribe, caveman. Well, that's stone masonry. I cannot build anything. If you wanted me to build you a house out of stone or anything else, it would fall down on your head, sadly. However, the Freemasonry does derive from stonemasonry. Gupinder, sorry I can't help you. I have no idea where you can hire a Freemason because I don't know where you're from. And even if I did, I'm not that type of Mason. I'm not an operative Mason. I am a YouTuber and I am a Mason, neither teacher nor professor. I don't think you're completely wrong, Captain. I think we as Freemasons have a responsibility to know and understand more about our operative Masonic roots than we do. And I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate that into Freemasonry. I'm working on it. But no, I don't think you're wrong. And I'd love to actually maybe even have an interview on my podcast with an actual stonemason and talk about kind of his art and his craft. Do you mean this symbol? I do not, green tea. I do not. Oh, sorry. The square and compasses? Or do you mean my symbol? Like, do you mean this symbol here? Or do you mean the square and compass logo um, on my channel? Ken the Blackbird. So it's a square and it's a compass. Some of the earliest symbols of that are in the 15th, 16th century at St. Mary's Chapel. The square and the compasses are tools used by stonemasons. Um, it is. So obviously, as Freemasons, we care about our stonemason brothers, including the tools that they use. We apply those tools to our morals. These things teach us kind of to keep within due bounds of our brethren and the world. And the G, I'm not going to tell you, you got to join to know what it means. But it's a beautiful symbol. Is that a Tennessee T? So that's actually my godchild. I got that in their honor. It's the first initial of their name. And it's pink because, pink was a favorite color. And also, my favorite wrestler at the time was Bret the Hitman Hart. So I got it filled in pink for that reason. Maybe it means geometry. I'm not going to tell you. Though geometry is obviously very important within Freemasonry. Historically, geometry and masonry are considered one and the same because in order to be a stonemason, you needed to also be you need to understand on a basic level geometry. Caveman, I hope you've hit like and subscribe. Mohammed, the Freemasons do not control the U.S. government. Believe me, I wish that we did. My life would be a lot more fun and interesting, but we do not. I mean, there is no big Freemasonry secret, right? Freemasonry, again, ultimately is about supporting one another and the community, and that's not a secret. The secrets are actually not the most important part of Freemasonry. The secrets are actually the least important part of Freemasonry. Again, if you had a family recipe, the true secret of the family recipe is the way it brings the family together, and that's something anybody can see. The actual recipe itself, keeping that a secret, is a way to ensure people remain together. Freemasons do have a very big foot in U.S. history. However, a lot of other groups have big feet in U.S. history as well. That doesn't mean they control it. I think Freemasonry definitely has played a role in the historical development of many cultures and countries. I'd say countries more so than cultures, actually. Italy, the Philippines, Brazil. However, there's a difference between having an impact in the development of a country and actually controlling it, which is not the same thing at all. But there's also loads of other groups having history with government. So yes, I could be Kemal Atatürk. I believe that's the name. Jose Rizal in the Philippines, Garibaldi in Italy and Brazil. He also visited King George, George Washington. But again, there's a difference between having an influence and controlling. I mean, everything that is good, Lon, has a little bit of darkness to it. That's a beautiful thing, I think, right? The darkness within Freemasonry, at least in my experience, is the darkness that comes from dedicating yourself to something and the sacrifices you have to make. When I say sacrifices, I mean sacrifices of time and energy, not some of the sacrifices that conspiracy theorists think we make. Even as somebody on yesterday's stream asked me if we as Freemasons sacrifice animals. We do not, nor do we sacrifice babies, nor do we sacrifice anything other than our time and our energy. What's the difference between influence and control? Thank you, Shemshu. When you say, sorry, what's the difference? You mean what's the difference between influencing and controlling something? I mean, of course, I'm a common person. I joined Freemasonry. I don't know. I guess I don't know how you would define common. But if you mean common in the sense of not connected to like riches or fame, then 99.99999% of our um, membership is common by definition, right? Um, well, so Captain, Freemasonry is a brotherhood. However, there is the Order of Women Freemasons. I have a lot of respect for them. There's also Eastern Star. There's also youth groups. So women are absolutely part of the Freemason family, and one of the best parts of it. Um, and Dad, I still have more to learn. Uh, Zay, yes, Jewish people are welcomed in Freemasonry, as are Christians, Muslims, Hindu, many others. So, I mean, so long as you have a belief in a supreme being, if you have a belief in a supreme being, you can join. I'm actually a member of a lodge in Israel. I just repaid my dues to it. Yes, it is not a cult. How are I mean, the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians share a lot in common. Um, I don't know a ton about Rosicrucianism, right? To actually be able to talk about all the differences. It was founded in 19. I'm going to get this wrong. It was founded in 1916, 1915. This was about 200 years past when Freemasonry was founded. Um, but it certainly maintains a lot of understanding similar philosophies. Um, I beat you up in '02. Well, I'm sure I had it coming. Does Freemasonry have Jewish roots? So Freemasonry, the true roots of Freemasonry, again, are the stone mason guilds of the 15th and 16th century. I have no idea, Lon, but I'm sure he beat me up in '02. I'm sure I had it coming. What was I saying? I lost track of it there for a second. Oh, Jewish roots. No. So Freemasonry, the roots are the stonemason guilds of the 15th and 16th century. As Freemasonry developed over the years, it began to borrow and kind of develop many rituals from many different organizations and groups. Certainly, some of those was Jewish traditions, as well as Christian traditions, even Islamic traditions, Stoic philosophy, Egyptian mythology. It all kind of formed itself or was borrowed by Freemasons to create a more full lodge and more full ritualistic experience. It is, and that's one of the best things about it, Dad. Maybe the best thing about it. What are the values of a Freemason? So Zay, and by the way, Zay, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Um, the values of Freemasonry, I mean, the lazy answer I could give you is brotherly love, relief, and truth. However, in my opinion, the true values of Freemasonry are up to each Mason to determine for himself or herself. And it's up to them to decide. For me, the value in Freemasonry is the value of fighting for a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. And that's something I take a great deal of pride in. To John Crane. First, John Crane, welcome. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll hit the like button and I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. And we truly appreciate you being here. And thank you for your kind words about Freemasons. We do a lot of good. Well, so Dr. Yosef is incorrect. Now, unless opinion on Israel. So Shem's trying to get to your stuff in just one sec. I speak for myself. There is no Masonic opinion on Israel. There's just my opinions on it. Every Mason makes his own decision. I support the people of the country. I will always support the people of any country. However, I have a lot of concerns and very serious and significant problems with the way the government is acting towards well, Gaza and the Palestinians, but I do separate the people from the government, and I'm a proud member of a lodge in Israel, for whatever it's worth. Um, Megan, I don't think spiritual war is happening. I think humans are always going to be at war within themselves and the good and bad parts of ourselves. And I hope that Freemasonry gives me the tools to have the good parts of myself, more so than the not so good parts of myself, win out. McDodge, not a huge fan of Albert Pike. I think he did provide some value to the craft and certainly to the Scottish Rite. However, I think he's far overappreciated, especially by non-Masons. His contributions are not as great as non-Masons seem to think of him. Um, and I think that he got a lot of things incorrect. Do I go mediate? I try to be more silent. I'm failing, but I try to have at least 5 minutes every day where I don't have my phone on, don't have anything on, and just sit in silence. I'm not good at it, but I'm trying. Um, I'd have to double check the Israeli Lodge's logo. I forget what it is now. I'll look into that. So Shemshu, you asked, I think it was you. Dr. Yosef Ben says that he belongs to the Ethiopian Lodge. Their craft dates back to the man. So I don't know who Dr. Yosef is. Certainly, Masonry or stone masonry, which is the art of crafting things with stone. That dates to ancient Egypt. That dates even before ancient Egypt, right? That dates to, I mean, millions of years ago, if you want to count our hominid ancestors crafting stone tools. And the idea of a Masonic lodge, which initially was just a tent set up by workmen on their work site to retire to for refreshment, that dates to before, the lodge experience, or Freemasonry. But Freemasonry itself, again, does not date back. Speculative Masonry, Freemasonry dates to 1717. So there is no real Masonic hierarchy, Zay, in the sense that you're saying. I'm a Master Mason and Worshipful Master, but the hierarchy ultimately, once you're Master Mason, it's all equal, and any power vested in someone is democratically granted, and then it's a year term. So you don't want to think about Masonry in terms of hierarchies. It's not really what it's about. We try to help each other, Captain Blackbird. We try to discuss matters with each other. I mean, at the core, what we're all about, is at the core the same thing any group of people that enjoy each other's company is about. Social support and friendship and the human desire to belong to something. You can channel that desire in a lot of different ways. In Freemasonry, we channel it through more philosophical teachings, ritual work, and social gatherings. Zay, I would love it if you would introduce me to some of these rich Freemasons, because I am not rich, and I'm a Freemason, and most of the Masons I know are not rich. They're not poor, they're just, middle class. So define rich, because, I don't know any super rich Freemasons, or any relatively rich Freemasons, unless you want to count it in a global sense. So for example, I would be rich as compared to somebody living in, most countries around the world, because I live in Canada. But that's not the same thing. I'm certainly not rich as compared to other Canadians. Scruffy, welcome back. Good to see you. It's wonderful to have you join once again. So Zay, if you approached a Freemason and they promised you wealth, they are almost certainly scamming you. And you need to be very careful. Freemasonry is not about getting rich. You will not get rich if you're a Freemason. They were probably scamming you. And if they weren't, then they have got their messaging really wrong, because Freemasonry will not guarantee you wealth. It'll actually cost you money. It's not about getting money back, or getting wealthy, or getting influence, or getting power. If anybody's making you those promises, you need to be incredibly careful. Do you think Kamala would have done a good job? Alvin? So Freemasons have to decide for themselves. Um, well, I've still got your name down, and you've still got the option. Again, it's just I forget if you were under 18 or not, but if you are, parents' permission is required. Um, I mean, it's up. My personal opinion is I think Donald Trump is doing a pretty terrible job right now, and I do not like him as a president. But we'll see what happens. I look like Charlie Kirk, or I am Charlie Kirk. Lon, to be one, ask one. What you have to do is you have to find a lodge within your area. Ask them if they are connected to a